breach did not begin with a siren.
Data breach
In the world of modern cyber warfare, catastrophe is almost always silent. It happened at 03:14 a.m. in a subterranean server farm beneath the Negev desert, a facility so classified it did not exist on any municipal map of Israel. The facility, codenamed Fortress, housed the developmental algorithms for the next generation of the Iron Dome defense system. This wasn't just about intercepting crude rockets anymore. This was about Project Indigo, an AI-driven targeting system capable of distinguishing between a threat and a decoy in microseconds, utilizing a neural network that had taken 15 years and billions of shekels to perfect. The data didn't leave through a hacked firewall. It didn't leave through a brute force attack by a foreign state. It walked out the front door. The anomaly was detected by a subroutine designed to monitor internal data flow volumes. A packet ghosting signature was flagged. Someone hadn't just copied the files, they had replicated the entire architecture of the AI in real time, masking the download as a routine system backup. By the time the Shin Bet's internal security division woke the Prime Minister, the data was gone. The encryption keys, the source code, the neural weights, everything that kept the sky over Tel Aviv safe had been exfiltrated. In the fluorescent-lit war room of the Mossad headquarters in Herzliya, the mood was not one of panic, but of cold, pressurized fury. The director of operations, a man known only as Haim, stared at the screens. "Who?" he asked. The answer came from the head of the cyber division. "It's not a who, sir. It's a ghost. The credentials used belonged to a maintenance admin who died 3 years ago. The biometric bypass was perfect. The digital footprint was scrubbed before the packets even left the server." "Nobody is a ghost," Haim said, his voice low. "Everyone leaves a trace. Find the anomaly. Find the human error." They found it 48 hours later. It wasn't a digital mistake. It was a physical one. A security camera in a hallway, 3 levels above the server room, had glitched for 2 seconds at 03:20 a.m. Frame-by-frame restoration revealed a shadow, a posture, a specific way of walking. "It's the alchemist," a senior analyst whispered, recognizing the gate. Ari Ben-Zion, former Unit 8200 prodigy, the man who had written half the code for the original firewalls of the Israeli Defense Forces. He had been discharged 2 years prior for psychological incompatibility, a polite way of saying he was a narcissist who believed he was smarter than the state. He wasn't just a hacker, he was a digital architect, and he had just stolen the keys to the kingdom. Intelligence chatter from listening posts in Southeast Asia confirmed the worst fears. Ben-Zion wasn't selling to the highest bidder. He had a specific client lined up: the Ministry of State Security, China. The price was rumored to be $50 million and a new identity in Shanghai. Haim looked at the red folder on his desk. This wasn't a police matter anymore. This was an existential threat. "Initiate Operation Blue Code," he ordered. "Bring him in, and if the data has been transferred, ensure it never opens. To catch a spy, you must understand what they love more than their country." For Ari Ben-Zion, he did not love money, though he demanded it. He did not love ideology. He found patriotism to be a primitive emotion for lesser minds. Ben-Zion loved recognition. He was 34 years old, with the pale complexion of a man who lived by the glow of monitors. Mossad psych profilers spent the next 24 hours tearing apart his life. They interviewed his former commanders, his estranged family, and the few ex-lovers who would speak to them. "He thinks he is a god in the machine," one profiler explained to the operational team assembled in a briefing room known as the Aquarium. "He believes the state of Israel used his genius and discarded him. This isn't just a transaction to him, it's revenge. He wants to prove that he can outsmart the entire security apparatus." The team assembled to hunt him was small, a Kaidan unit, the tip of the spear, but modified for the digital age. Leading the team was Eitan, a field officer in his 50s who had hunted Hamas operatives in Paris and Iranian scientists in Vienna. He was old school, a man who trusted human intuition over algorithms. His partner was Noah, a 26-year-old cyber warfare specialist who had been recruited straight out of the Technion. She was the antithesis of Eitan: quiet, purely logical, and perhaps the only person in the building who understood the code Ben Zion had written. "He's not in Israel," Noah said, projecting a map onto the wall. His digital signature vanished from Tel Aviv 3 hours before the breach. He used a pre-programmed bot to execute the theft while he was already on a plane. "Where did he land?" Eitan asked, studying the face of the traitor on the screen. "He didn't fly commercial," Noah explained. "He chartered a private jet using a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. The flight path ended in Cyprus. From there, he went dark. But a man like Ari, he needs connectivity. He needs high-speed infrastructure. He won't go to a remote island. He'll go where the data flows." "Hong Kong?" Eitan suggested. "Too risky. Too much Chinese control immediately," Noah countered. "He wants leverage. He won't hand over the drive until he feels safe. He needs a neutral ground that feels like a metropolis. Somewhere he can blend in but still live like a king. Singapore," Eitan said, "or Bangkok." "Bangkok is too chaotic for him. He hates disorder," the profiler added. "Singapore fits his psychological profile: sterile, efficient, high-tech, wealthy." Then, a breakthrough. A dormant email account flagged by the NSA and shared via a back-channel liaison pinged a server in a luxury hotel in Marina Bay. It was a tiny packet of data, a heartbeat signal Ben Zion had likely set up to check his own bank accounts. "He's in Singapore," Noah confirmed, typing furiously. "The Marina Bay Sands. He's hiding in plain sight." "Pack your bags," Heim ordered. "You are tourists. You are business partners, whatever you need to be. But you get close to him. We cannot hack the drive remotely. The encryption is quantum resistant. We need the physical drive, and we need him to unlock it." "And if he refuses?" Eitan asked. "He is a narcissist," Heim replied. "He won't refuse if he thinks he has won. Make him believe he is winning until you close the trap." Singapore is a city that feels like a simulation. The humidity hits you the moment you step out of Changi Airport, a wall of tropical heat that contrasts with the air-conditioned sterility of the city-state's interior. It is a place of cameras, rules, and money. For a man like Ari Ben Zion, it was paradise. Eitan and Noah arrived separately. Eitan entered on a Canadian passport, posing as a logistics consultant. Noah entered on a French passport, posing as a freelance software developer attending a tech summit. They met in a safe house in the Geylang district, a gritty contrast to the polished steel of the city center. The local Sayanim, Jewish volunteer helpers who assist Mossad with logistics, had prepared the apartment. There were secure comms, maps of the city's underground tunnels, and surveillance gear disguised as tourist equipment. "He's in the tower," Noah said, pointing to the iconic silhouette of the Marina Bay Sands Hotel on the map. "Suite 54, top floor. The cost is $5,000 a night. He's burning through his advance payment." "Does he have the drive on him?" Eitan asked, cleaning a pair of high-powered binoculars. "He never leaves it," Noah said, "but it's bio-locked. If we snatch it and he doesn't open it, the data incinerates. A self-destruct code written into the silicon. We need his fingerprint, his retina, and his voice phrase. So we can't just grab him in an alley." Eitan grumbled. "We have to talk to him. We have to outplay him," Noah corrected. Surveillance began immediately. The Mossad team tapped into the hotel's CCTV, not by hacking the hotel directly, which might alert hotel security, but by mirroring the signal at the junction box in the street, a physical tap that Noah executed while posing as a maintenance worker. They watched Ben Zion. He lived a life of solitary luxury. He ordered room service. He swam in the infinity pool on the roof at dawn, alone. He spent hours on his laptop, routed through 7 different proxies, but he wasn't alone. On the 3rd day of surveillance, Eitan spotted them. 2 men in sharp suits sitting in the lobby, never reading their newspapers, always watching the elevators. "We have company," Eitan radioed to Noah. "MSS, Chinese intelligence. Are they protecting him or hunting him?" Noah asked. "They're babysitting him," Eitan observed. "They're waiting for the final verification of the data. Once they confirm the merchandise is real, they'll take the drive and probably throw him off the roof." The clock was ticking. Mossad wasn't just racing against Ben Zion, they were racing against one of the most powerful intelligence agencies on Earth. If the Chinese got the drive first, the secrets of the Iron Dome would belong to Beijing. The strategy shifted. They couldn't approach Ben Zion physically without alerting the Chinese watchers. They had to approach him in the only realm where he felt truly safe, the digital one. Noah set the trap. She created a persona, Oracle, a mysterious hacker on the dark web forums that Ben Zion frequented. She didn't approach him directly. Instead, she began solving cryptographic puzzles that Ben Zion had posted years ago under a pseudonym, puzzles that no one had ever cracked. It was a challenge to his ego. Sitting in the safe house, Noah typed, "He's biting. He sees someone crack the enigma of the prime. He's curious." A message appeared on her screen, encrypted in a chaotic cipher. "Who are you?" Noah typed back, "Someone who knows that your code for the perimeter defense has a flaw in line 402. It was a gamble. She was referencing a tiny theoretical imperfection in his old work at Unit 8200. Only someone with his level of clearance, or genius, would know it. The reply came instantly, "Meet me." "Where?" Noah typed. "The virtual room, server 9. Encrypted VR lobby." "He wants to meet in a game?" Aiton asked, looking over her shoulder, confused. "It's a virtual meeting space," Noah explained, putting on a headset. "Untraceable audio, no physical risk. He wants to size me up." For the next hour, Aiton watched as Noah engaged in a battle of wits with the traitor. They spoke in code, in mathematics, in philosophy. Ben Zion was arrogant, boasting about his magnum opus that he was about to sell to a wealthy patron. "He's lonely," Noah whispered to Aiton, muting her mic. "He has the money, but he has no one to brag to. He wants to show off what he stole." Noah spun the web. She told him she represented a private consortium, not a government, but a shadowy group of tech oligarchs who wanted to bid on his technology. She offered double what the Chinese were paying. "I don't believe you." Ben Zion's voice came through the headset, digitized and distorted. "Then meet me," Noah said. "In person. Tomorrow night. The gardens by the bay, the Super Tree Grove, 9 p.m. Come alone, or the deal is off." There was a long silence. "I'll be there," Ben Zion said. "But if I see a shadow I don't like, I burn the drive." The gardens by the bay is a surreal landscape of man-made trees, towering steel structures covered in vegetation that glow with neon lights at night. It is beautiful, crowded, and a nightmare for surveillance. Aiton deployed the team. They had 6 operatives on the ground. 2 were disguised as tourists taking selfies. 1 was a street cleaner. Aiton himself was sitting on a bench looking like a tired old man resting his legs. The Chinese agents were there too. They were professional, hanging back, trying to give Ben Zion space while keeping him in a visual box. Ben Zion arrived wearing a white linen suit, clutching a leather briefcase. He looked nervous, his eyes darting around. The pressure was getting to him. Noah approached him. She wore a red dress, visible, bold. She needed to hold his attention. "Ari," she said, using his real name. He flinched. "You didn't say you knew my name." "I know everything, Ari. That's why I'm worth talking to." They walked beneath the towering super trees. The light show began, music swelling, lights flashing in rhythm. It was the perfect cover for a conversation. "The Chinese will kill you," Noah said calmly. "You know that, right? Once they have the code, you are a loose end. You think they'll let you live in Shanghai? You'll end up in a hole in the ground." "I have insurance," Ari stammered. "Digital insurance fails," Noah countered. "My consortium offers you extraction, a new face, a new life in South America, and the money." Ari hesitated. He looked at the Chinese agents hovering in the distance near the flower dome. He knew she was right. The Ministry of State Security did not have a reputation for fair play. "Show me the money," Ari demanded. Noah pulled out a phone. She showed him a transfer screen, $100 million, pending authorization. It was fake, of course, a sophisticated banking simulation created by Mossad's technical department, but it looked perfect. Ari's greed warred with his fear. "Okay, how do we do this?" "We have a boat at the marina," Noah lied. "We leave now. Lose the tail." "I can't just run," Ari whispered. "They'll shoot." "That's why we brought help," Noah said. At that moment, Aiton signaled the team. The street cleaner triggered a small, remote-controlled disruption device in a nearby trash can. It wasn't a bomb that would cause international outrage, but a flashbang simulator creating a loud pop and a cloud of white smoke. Panic ensued. The tourists screamed. The crowd surged. In the chaos, the Chinese agents lost visual contact for 3 seconds. That was all Eitan needed. He moved with the speed of a man half his size, grabbing Ari by the arm and pulling him into the dense foliage of a service path. "Move," Eitan growled. They vanished into the darkness of the garden, leaving the Chinese agents shouting into their radios. They didn't go to a boat. They went to a service elevator concealed in the trunk of one of the super trees, a maintenance access point that the Cyanum had hacked earlier that day. The elevator descended into the utility tunnels beneath the gardens. The hum of the city above faded, replaced by the drip of water and the buzz of high-voltage cables. Ari Ben Zion realized too late that this wasn't a rescue. It was a rendition. "You're Mossad," he gasped, backing away as the elevator doors opened into a concrete corridor. "We are your only chance of survival," Eitan said, his voice hard. "The Chinese have already issued a burn order on you. We intercepted the comms. If they see you again, they shoot on sight." They dragged him to a waiting van in the underground loading dock. The van was shielded, a Faraday cage on wheels to prevent any signal from tracking the drive or Ari's phone. Inside the van, the atmosphere was suffocating. Noah sat opposite Ari. "The drive," she said, extending her hand. Ari clutched the briefcase. "It's my life insurance." "It's your death warrant," Noah said. "Give it to me." "I want a deal," Ari shouted, sweat pouring down his face. "I want immunity. I want to go back to Israel, but no prison. I want house arrest. I want my computer back." Eitan laughed, a dry, mirthless sound. "You committed high treason, Ari. You don't get to make demands. You get to breathe. That is the deal." Suddenly, the van swerved violently. "Contact!" the driver yelled. A black SUV had rammed the back of the van. The Chinese had anticipated the extraction routes. They weren't giving up their prize. The chase through the streets of Singapore was not a Hollywood shootout. It was a battle of precision driving and traffic manipulation. Noah opened her laptop, connecting to the van's onboard system. "I'm hacking the traffic grid," she announced. Mossad had developed a tool called Green Wave, capable of manipulating the smart traffic lights of major cities. Ahead of them, lights turned green. Behind them, lights turned red, creating walls of civilian traffic to block the pursuing Chinese SUV. "They're still on us," the driver grunted. "They're driving on the sidewalk." The Chinese agents were desperate. They knew that if Ari Ben Zion left the island, they had failed. "Eitan," Noah said, her voice trembling slightly. "They are trying to hack the van's electronic steering. I can feel the intrusion." "Block them," Eitan ordered. "I'm trying, but they have a military-grade signal jammer. They are brute-forcing the system." The van shuddered, the steering wheel locked. They were careening toward a concrete barrier on the East Coast Parkway. "Manual override!" Eitan shouted. The driver slammed a red button on the dashboard, physically disconnecting the steering column from the digital computer. The van skidded, tires screaming, sparks flying as it grazed the barrier, but the driver regained control. "We need to get off the road," Eitan said. "Go to the safe house." The secondary one. They turned sharply into an industrial estate near Changi, disappearing into a labyrinth of warehouses. The Chinese SUV, blinded by the traffic manipulation and losing the signal lock, shot past the exit. They were safe. For now. The secondary safe house was a shipping container converted into a living space, hidden inside a logistics warehouse. It was hot, cramped, and smelled of rust. Ari Ben Zion was handcuffed to a steel table. The briefcase sat in the center. "Open it," Eitan commanded. "I can't," Ari wept. "I can't. If I open it and you take it, you'll kill me." "Ari," Noah said softly, stepping in as the good cop. "We are not like them. We don't kill our own unless we have no choice. You are Jewish. You are Israeli. You made a terrible mistake, but you are still one of us." It was a manipulation, but it contained a grain of truth. Mossad preferred to bring traitors home to face justice, rather than leave bodies in foreign lands. "I need a guarantee," Ari sniffled. "The guarantee is that you are currently breathing." Eitan snapped. Open the drive. If the Chinese find this warehouse and they are looking, they will burn this place down with all of us inside. Ari's trembling hand reached for the biometric scanner on the briefcase. He pressed his thumb. Beep. He leaned in for the retinal scan. Beep. Voice authorization required. The robotic voice of the case said. Ari looked at Eitan. Project Indigo is the future, he whispered. That was the passphrase. The case clicked open. Inside sat a single obsidian black hard drive, suspended in shock-absorbing foam. Noah immediately plugged it into her shielded terminal. I'm verifying the integrity, she said. It looks intact. The source code is here. The neural weights. Everything. Wipe it, Eitan ordered. Copy it to our secure server, then wipe the physical drive. Wait, Ari screamed. That's $50 million. It's $0, Eitan said. As Noah began the transfer, the lights in the warehouse flickered. Then they went out completely. Silence fell over the warehouse. The humidity became oppressive instantly as the AC fans died. They cut the power, Eitan whispered, drawing his suppressed pistol. They found us. The Chinese team had used thermal drones to scan the industrial park. They had found the heat signature of the people inside the container. How many? Noah asked, shielding the screen of her laptop so the glow wouldn't give them away. 4, maybe 5, Eitan estimated. They will breach soon. They want the drive. I need 3 minutes to finish the secure upload and wipe the drive, Noah said. You have 2, Eitan replied. Eitan moved to the door of the container. He cracked it open an inch. He saw shadows moving between the stacks of pallets outside. The first canister of tear gas crashed through the thin metal wall of the container. White smoke filled the small space. Ari began to cough and scream. They're going to kill us! Eitan grabbed a gas mask from the emergency kit and shoved it onto Noah's face. Keep working, he roared. He didn't put one on himself. He wrapped a wet rag around his face and kicked the door open. Eitan fired 3 shots into the darkness, warning shots to suppress the advance. He wasn't trying to hit them. He was trying to buy time. The Chinese returned fire. Bullets sparked against the steel of the container. 90%! Noah yelled through the mask. Hold them off! Eitan shouted, firing again. A Chinese operative tried to flank them, climbing over a stack of crates. Eitan spotted him and fired a round into a fire extinguisher mounted on the wall next to the operative. The explosion of white powder created a screen. Done! Noah screamed. Drive is wiped. Data is secure. Surrender! A voice shouted from the darkness in English. Give us the drive and you leave alive. Eitan grabbed the empty obsidian drive. He looked at Ari. We're going to play a game, Eitan said. Eitan stepped out of the container, hands raised, holding the drive high. Don't shoot, he yelled. I have the merchandise. The shooting stopped. The Chinese team leader stepped into the light, a man with a scarred face and a silenced submachine gun. Place it on the ground, the leader commanded, and back away. We want safe passage, Eitan negotiated. We leave. You take the drive. The traitor is yours. Inside the container, Ari whimpered. Noah gripped his arm to keep him silent. Agreed, the Chinese leader said. He didn't mean it, of course, but he needed the drive in his hands first. Eitan placed the drive on the concrete floor. He backed away slowly, hands still raised. The Chinese leader walked forward. He picked up the drive. He inspected it. It looked genuine. Go, the leader said, waving his gun toward the exit. Eitan backed into the container, grabbed Noah and Ari, and they ran out the back exit into the alleyway where their backup vehicle waited. As they sped away, the Chinese leader plugged the drive into a portable reader. It was empty, but Noah had left a small gift, a logic bomb. As soon as the reader tried to access the wiped sectors, the virus executed. It didn't just fail to read, it fried the reader and sent a high-voltage pulse back through the connection, effectively bricking the Chinese team's field equipment. By the time they realized they had been duped, Mossad was halfway to the airport. Getting out of Singapore was the final hurdle. The airport would be watched. The ports would be watched. But Mossad had one advantage: diplomacy. The data was secured. The threat was neutralized. Haim, back in Tel Aviv, had made a call to his counterpart in Singapore intelligence. He didn't tell them everything. He simply said, "We are removing a criminal who threatens both our nation's cybersecurity. We request a blind eye for 1 hour at the Seletar private airfield." Singapore, valuing its relationship with Israel, which had helped build its own army decades ago, agreed. A Gulfstream jet sat waiting on the tarmac at Seletar. The engines were running. Ari Ben Zion was dragged out of the car. He looked at the plane. "Where are we going?" he asked, his voice hollow. "Home," Eitan said. "I can't go back," Ari said, dropping to his knees. "Everyone will know. I'll be the most hated man in Israel." "You should have thought of that before you sold the Iron Dome," Noah said coldly. They boarded the plane. As the wheels left the tarmac, leaving the lights of Singapore behind, the tension finally broke. Eitan slumped in his seat, exhausted. Noah stared out the window. Ari sat handcuffed in the back, staring at the floor. The digital ghost was no longer a ghost. He was just a prisoner. The trial of Ari Ben Zion was secret. There were no cameras, no reporters, no public gallery. A military tribunal sat in judgment. The evidence was irrefutable. The recovered data, the logs of his communications with the MSS, the testimony of the agents who captured him. He was sentenced to 35 years in prison. But it wasn't a normal prison. He was sent to Facility 1391, a detention center that officially does not exist. There, Ari Ben Zion, the man who lived for connectivity, who thrived on the flow of information, was subjected to the ultimate punishment for a digital native: analog isolation. No computers, no internet, no phones, just books, paper, and a pen. Mossad had not killed him. They had done something far more effective. They had erased him. The alchemist simply ceased to exist in the digital world. His accounts were deleted, his codes overwritten, his legacy scrubbed. Back in Tel Aviv, Eitan and Noah sat in a small cafe near the beach. The sun was setting over the Mediterranean. "Do you think he regrets it?" Noah asked, stirring her coffee. "He regrets getting caught," Eitan said. "Men like that, they don't have a conscience. They only have an ego." "We stopped it," Noah said. "This time. There is always a next time," Eitan replied, watching the waves. "The war doesn't end. It just changes servers." The operation was closed. The file was sealed. And somewhere in the dark, the next ghost was already beginning to code. If this story of digital warfare and high-stakes espionage kept you on the edge of your seat, please hit that like button. It helps us bring these hidden stories to light. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below. In the age of cyber warfare, is a hacker more dangerous than a soldier? Let me know what you think. Until next time.